3 days after giving birth, my husband leaves me alone at home to care for the baby, saying that he needs to leave on an urgent business trip. 3 days later, I'd just arrived at the hospital when I see a family photo his childhood sweetheart has shared on her social media. It's captioned, "This was taken during a trip. We're a happy family of 3." I'm surprised to see my husband grinning in the photo and comment on it with a question mark. He immediately calls me to reprimand me. Do you know how hard it is for her as a single mother? She doesn't have a man to care for her. All I did was take a photo with her. Do you have to be so petty? That evening, his childhood sweetheart shares a photo of some monetary gifts. He insisted on giving me this after taking the family photo. I know my husband gave that to her to pacify her. This time, however, I'm ready to leave him. My baby seemed to have sensed my low spirits. He began wailing at the top of his lungs all of a sudden. I spent the next 2 hours rocking him just to calm him down. Meanwhile, my husband, Elijah Montgomery, never bothered calling me to explain the truth. As for his girlfriend, Yvonne Miller, she was still updating her social media feed in real time. She uploaded 3 photos featuring a bunch of lavish monetary gifts, shocking the internet users who stumbled across her post. Almost immediately, a ton of comments flooded her comment section. So far, everyone looked envious and jealous of her. I keenly noticed one of the comments belonging to Elijah. "I prepared all these gifts for you today. In 20 years, I'll make sure to prepare the same amount for our daughter too." The comment read, "You're the best, honey. I love you." Yvonne instantly responded to the comment. Elijah and Yvonne's flirtatious interaction stung my eyes. I turned to look at my baby, who was fast asleep in his pram. I supposed Elijah must have forgotten that he still had a newborn son who was only 6 days old. After all, he claimed that he was too busy with work to keep me company on the day I gave birth to our son. Sometime later, I only found out that Elijah was actually busy celebrating Yvonne's 3-year-old daughter's birthday. "Your gallstone is overly big. We can't drag the surgery out any longer. You're advised to get it surgically removed tomorrow." My doctor analyzed my condition while holding my checkup results. I was only diagnosed with gallstones during my pregnancy. A few seconds of hesitation later, I finally shot Elijah a text. "Can you return home tomorrow? I have something urgent I need to talk to you about." A long time later, Elijah finally texted back, albeit impatiently, "I'm very busy. Stop looking for me just to resolve every little insignificant thing in life. If you keep bothering me, I'll file for a divorce." I just stared at the private chat calmly. Honestly, I couldn't remember how many times Elijah had threatened me with divorce. Ever since Yvonne appeared in Elijah's life, they tended to be lovey-dovey together. Whenever I caught them at it, I'd start having mood swings. That was when Elijah would threaten me with divorce. All women always suffer from injustice in their marriage. If you can't handle me flirting with Yvonne, then go ahead and file for a divorce. I was always the one admitting my mistakes and apologizing to Elijah in the past. This time, I decided to grant him his wish. "The reason why I asked you to come home is because of my impending surgery. If you're already this impatient with me, I suppose it's time for us to file for a divorce," I texted back. A few seconds later, my phone started ringing. Elijah's voice was obviously a lot softer and gentler than before. "Why didn't you tell me that you got sick? What time is your surgery tomorrow? I'll head back and keep you company." I frowned while gazing at my baby, who was fast asleep. "It's at 2 p.m. tomorrow, alright." But Elijah's phone was switched off the next afternoon. I was in so much pain that my complexion had gone pale. I didn't have any strength left in my body. So, I could only grit my teeth and ask a friend of mine to come get my papers signed. It was already evening by the time the surgery was over. My doctor told me to recuperate over the next few days. However, Elijah never bothered to call me back. At the same time, Yvonne kept gloating about her latest tales of romance with Elijah on her social media feed. My ankle got sprained slightly, and yet he was so frightened that he went pale. He sped up all the way to the ER just for my sake. He had bought a flight ticket home, but he got it cancelled the moment he found out about my ankle injury. Oh my goodness. "It's just a light sprain," but he refused to let me walk at all. He kept carrying me the whole time. I tapped on the photo, which showed Elijah carrying Yvonne on his back. That was when I remembered the time I had gone for a prenatal checkup when I was 4 months alone. My hip joints had begun hurting all of a sudden, which made walking an extremely torturous activity to carry out. The doctor had told me that I suffered from hip joint synovitis. I was advised not to move around much and that I needed to apply a hot compress to my hip joints every day. Back then, I had called Elijah and asked him to come over to the hospital so that he could carry me home. His response came back irritated and impatient. "I'm a very busy man, you know. My time is meant for my work, not to be wasted on you. You're just pregnant, so what's with all the troublesome nonsense? If you can't walk, then you might as well get hospitalized." Back in the present, I picked up my phone and texted Elijah once again. "I only have one condition: I get custody over our child. Also, I'm entitled to my portion of the assets." Elijah quickly texted back, "I have something really urgent to tend to today. Don't do anything crazy. Okay? I'll go home tomorrow." But I never got to see Elijah at all for the next 3 days, even after the doctor gave me the green light to get discharged from the hospital. As I sat in the car and watched the buildings fleet across the window, I could feel distant memories surging back into my mind. I had gotten to know Elijah when I was still studying at a university. That was when I fell in love with him, too. In the first year of our marriage, Elijah started his own business for the first time. However, he ended up setting foot into an elaborate trap set up by his best friend, causing him to shoulder a massive debt. During that period, I had to work 3 odd jobs just to help Elijah clear the debt. At night, I still needed to deal with house chores and whip up dinner for him as well. This lasted until Elijah had his first taste of success during his second attempt at establishing his business. I thought I could finally live a happy married life with him at that time. But 1 year ago, everything changed on the day he cheated on me with Yvonne. Elijah finally came back not long after I returned home. He glanced at the surgical results on the table before shaking me awake. "You went ahead to get the surgery on your own? Why didn't you wait for me to return?" I suffered from terrible insomnia during my 3-day stay in the hospital. When I finally fell asleep after so long, I found myself being woken up by Elijah. At the moment, I was both physically and mentally exhausted. "Elijah, do you think I should let my condition worsen for 3 days so that I can wait for your return before undergoing the surgery?" Elijah was momentarily stunned. His expression softened slightly as he replied, "Fine. I'll forgive you this time. Now, hurry up and iron my suit for me. I'm about to head out soon." I was taken aback by his request. It turned out that he chose to return just to attend a business gathering, not to keep me company during my post-surgical recovery. My phone buzzed all of a sudden. It was an alarm that reminded me that it was time for me to feed my baby. I had to drag my severely weakened body out of bed in order to start making a bottle of baby formula. Elijah kicked the chair next to him out of frustration. "Damn it. I shouldn't have married you from the start. I regret everything now." After that, he left the house and slammed the door behind him. I ignored Elijah's outburst. Instead, I turned to reassure and comfort my baby, who was wailing at the top of his lungs because of the loud slam. Half an hour later, the baby finally fell asleep once again. That was when I picked my phone up and shot someone a text. "Please recommend a divorce lawyer. Are you nuts? Isn't it your birthday today? Why are you thinking of getting a divorce all of a sudden?" That person texted back immediately. The next morning, Elijah came home abruptly. He gazed at me coldly while berating me in an accusatory tone. "Why didn't you remind me that it was your birthday yesterday?" I remained silent. "Fine. I specifically bought you a birthday gift." Elijah then handed a gold necklace to me. I glanced at it, noting how thin the actual necklace was. The weight was definitely a lot less than the weight of the jewelry that was included in the lavish monetary gifts he had showered Yvonne with some time ago. One could easily tell if their partner loved them or not based on many things in life. "Put this necklace on. I'll whip something up for you later. Let's celebrate your birthday together." "No need for that," I responded coldly. Showering me with gifts and gracing me with his presence after all this time would only make me resent him even more. Elijah could tell that I was getting annoyed. This pissed him off. "I've already taken the liberty to comfort you. What more do you want from me, huh? What's with your tantrum?"